Hi everyone, it's John Heath here for MiltonRose Learning with another Let's Learn video on Romeo and Juliet quotations. So we've got three of the best themes like we normally do, and we've got some really good quotes for each theme which will be very good for your essays and assignments at school, but also for the all-important exams as well. So let's dive in then. So first off, if we start with, it wouldn't be Romeo and Juliet if we didn't start with love and passion. So let's have a look at three of the best quotes for that theme. So first off then, we have Juliet there, and she says a lovely quote. My beauty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. Okay, from Juliet. Very, very powerful quote. So Juliet's declaration of love there for Romeo uses kind of natural imagery of the natural world to show the kind of limitless and selfless nature of her love. So it emphasizes the real kind of the depth of the emotional passion between the two characters. And obviously the passion, as we know, is too much. It's kind of hyperbolic, and it ultimately triggers their tragic demise. So it's a very, very good quote to kind of start with, really, in a love and passion essay. Then we have the big guy. So we have Romeo himself. Okay, so let's have a look at what he's got to say. So he has a great love quote. He said, "With love's light wings did I overperch these walls." Okay, so it's obviously a metaphor here, not literal. But Romeo's metaphor kind of captures love as a liberating force. It kind of frees them up, him and Juliet, inspiring courage and risk-taking in pursuit of passion. The risks that they're running, obviously, are because of the political conflict in Verona between the Montagues and the Capulets. So the walls represent the risks and the difficulties that he's having to face to bring this love together. Okay, and that would be very, very good for context marks in an exam. Okay, next one. Romeo says, "Thus with a kiss I die." Okay, obviously a really powerful juxtaposition there. The juxtaposition between kiss, connoting romance, and death, obviously connoting not being here anymore. So that kind of juxtaposition is extremely powerful. So breaking that quote down, it's a poignant union of love and death. The passion drives Romeo to end his life, as I'm sure you probably know, or otherwise it's a kind of plot twist there for you. And it shows the intensity and all-consuming nature of his feelings. These lovers are too passionate, and it leads only to obviously tragic demise of the characters. Okay, right then. Now let's just zoom out for a second again, and we move on to conflict as a theme, and we've got three really good quotes for conflict. So let's have a look here then. Now then, we have Shakespeare himself, because it comes from the chorus, so there is no character necessarily for this one. "From ancient grudge break to new mutiny." Now, mutiny in this context means conflict. Okay, so there used to be a grudge, like an ancient argument, and it's led to a new kind of war breaking out. So the prologue frames the story in a cycle of kind of inherited hatred, what we might call a blood feud in Italy, that a kind of feud between two families that's gone on for so long they can't even remember why they're fighting anymore. Okay, and it shows the the deep-rooted conflict that kind of poisons the play's world from the start. The politics kind of entangles all of the characters, including Romeo and Juliet, and they can't escape. Okay, it's almost kind of inevitable that they kind of get drawn in and end up dead because of the political conflicts. Then the next one is Samson. And Samson says, which shows the kind of almost pedantic and absurd nature of conflict in this play, "I do bite my thumb, sir." That's Samson. So that sounds a little bit of an odd one, because we don't do it today, pretty much, from what I know. But it's a small, provocative kind of gesture, biting your thumb. It's like an insult to somebody in this period. But that kind of biting of the thumb escalates into this massive public violence, and it highlights how silly and stupid the whole conflict is, because that triggers another massive rumble in Verona. So it's almost like sticking your finger up at someone and it causes World War III. It's out of proportion. And I think that's Shakespeare kind of showing that these political conflicts are ultimately meaningless, absurd, quite silly, and ultimately lacking meaning. And they're kind of pointless, really. The fact that biting a thumb at somebody causes this massive ruckus, which it shouldn't have done, and it leads only to tragic consequences. Okay, and the last one for this theme is Mercutio. So as he dies, he's heard to say, a very famous quote, "A plague on both your houses." Now, the key word for me is both. That's the key lexical choice, both your houses. So as he dies, Mercutio's almost curse blames both Montague and the Capulets alike. He doesn't distinguish between the two, which is quite interesting. And by doing that, he establishes almost this moral voice in the last kind of few seconds of his life, and it condemns the destructive nature of their feud. A very, very good quote to analyse. Also, the language of plague. This is still the period where plagues would break out, so it was very fearful for the Elizabethan audience. Okay, very, very important for context there. Okay, and last but not least, let's look at fate and destiny as a theme, and we've got 3 great quotes here. So fate and destiny, let's have a look. Now, one of the most famous quotes in all of the play is here for this theme. A pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. Star-crossed lovers, a beautiful phrase there from the chorus. So again, the prologue frames Romeo and Juliet's life as ultimately doomed by fate. From the outset, they never had a chance. So it uses what I would say in an essay, astrological imagery, imagery of the stars, to suggest that destiny is inescapable. We all have our own destiny. We can't escape it, so there's almost no point. These 2 tragic teenagers were dead before they started almost, and it establishes the elements of tragedy and the tragic kind of genre there, and that could be analysed very, very nicely. Okay, next one. Romeo. "Oh, I am fortune's fool." So what does he mean by that? Well, Romeo sees himself as a victim of fate after killing Tybalt, and shows how characters interpret events as being controlled by forces beyond their control. So fortune is almost like a puppet master kind of pulling the strings of all the characters, and Romeo almost has an epiphany there and realises that I can't get out of this. I'm almost walking down a path which fortune or fate has kind of built for me, and I don't have any free will. He's basically assuming there that the characters don't have what we call agency. They don't have freedom. They're just forced down a path whether they want to go down it or not. That would have resonated with the Christian Elizabethan audience, because obviously they believed in God, and God almost ordaining this kind of fateful path for the characters. Okay, very good for context there. Okay, and then last but not least, we return to Romeo, and he says another quote, "Then I defy you, stars." Okay, and the exclamation mark there really giving it some kind of intensity. So Romeo does actually try and reject fate. So after hearing of Juliet's apparent death, in inverted commas, you'll read about that in class, it reveals the tension between human choice, or what we call agency, your ability to have free will and to make your own choices, and a predetermined destiny. So it's not maybe as white and black as we think, where destiny does everything for you. Romeo seems to be trying to kind of hold open some possibility for human agency. I can make my own choices. I defy you, stars. Let me make my own choices. Ultimately, though, as we know, fate wins, because both of the characters wind up dead, as we know. So fate is too strong for human agency. Okay, right then. Now, we've whizzed through some very good quotes there. And it's just to say at the end of the video, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've really enjoyed it. Please do hit the like, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss another Let's Learn video again. And please do let us know in the comments how your essays goes for Romeo and Juliet. Definitely use some of those quotes if they crop up, because they're fantastic for your essays. So it just remains to say, obviously, thanks for listening and take care.